She had an experience with what she considered to be an angel, but when you look at the primary source, off to her side, she saw something that she couldn't really understand. It was a being, and it was about 3 feet tall. They're talking about little beings and aerial phenomena and, other things that happened in John Mack's book. And
Diana Walsh says that alien encounters were documented by biblical saints. What? Let's get into it, see what she has to say, and I'm going to be giving my commentary all the way through.
So this would be disturbing for people who are fairly literally like Catholic, right? Mm-hmm. And by the way, I'm a practicing Catholic, so it was a little bit scary to read, But so if you look at Teresa of Avila, she's a nun who is now a doctor of the church. She's a very well-known, beloved saint in the Catholic Church. She had an experience with what she considered to be an angel. But when you look at the primary source material, and this is in the 1500s in Spain, and it's during, the time period when there was an Inquisition, Spanish Inquisition. So it's not like she would want to have talked about this, but she did write about it in her diary. And so she had this experience where she was basically praying, and off to her side, she saw something that she couldn't really understand. It was a being, and it was about 3 feet tall. And she said it was very shiny, and she said she was confused by it because when she saw angels prior to this, they would be imaginative angels, something she made the distinction that this was not an angel in her imagination, but this was an actual fleshy thing. She saw it. And so she was confused. She didn't know what kind of angel it was. And she said, it must be a cherub.
A cherub?
That's what she said.
What is that?
Well, it's a type of angel. So
okay.
in Catholic history, you have different types of angels. And so the cherub is going to be kind of a little angel, childlike.
What? Excuse me? That is completely false, I hope. Because according to the Bible, a cherub is not some little... Yeah, the cherubim. I don't even think there's a cherub. This is what they look like. I don't think they look like this. I think they more look like this. I don't know where they got the idea that they're 3 feet tall. Ezekiel 1-5. Angels, meaning the origins characteristics. We have talked about the biblical accurate throned angels look like, but there are still two unique angels in the Bible, the cherubim and the seraphim. The article delves into the appearance of descriptions of cherubim and seraphim in the Bible. All right, let's see. The cherubim. Ezekiel 1-5 says, our best description of cherubim comes from the book of Ezekiel. His account is as follows. In the fire was what looked like 4 living creatures in appearance. Their form was human, but each of them had 4 faces and 4 wings. Their legs were straight. Their feet were like those of calves and gleamed like burnished bronze. Under their wings, under their 4 sides, they had human hands. All 4 of them had faces and wings. Okay, just from right there, that does not sound like little... maybe she's seen something else, though. That's what I wonder. Some demonic things.
And so but you could tell that she wasn't even sure it was that. And so this, by the way, can only be known by reading her work and looking at her own description of the event, because this is a very represented encounter in Catholic history.
Wow.
And there's a very famous statue in Rome by Bernini, who is a sculptor, and you see her and this little angel, and it has a dart. So you know how John Mack talks about an instrument that people are examined with? So apparently this little fleshy angel creature examines her. And this was amazing because it was just very strange.
She said it examined her?
Well, it
looked at her?
Okay. So you have to understand translation from that time period. Okay. So let's be super clear.
Okay.
So I thought of
when someone says examine, it's just like knowing her heart and soul and understanding what in the world is her mindset and so many things, not just looked at her. But
I'm using the word examine, but probably I should not have used that word. It basically said it took this dart and it thrust it into her entrails. Those are the words that she used. So, you know, it was something that I didn't expect to see. Mm-hmm. So this would be the example, but there were many more examples that weren't as famous. That's the most famous example, the one that Catholics would know about. But there were a lot of examples that I had that no one would know about because they're not digitized and they're in old manuscripts. It was a coincidence, but there was a conference in my town for people who were experiencers, UFO experiencers. So I went to that and I heard them talk about their experiences, and I saw that these experiences that they were having were like an exact match with the experiences that I had cataloged from hundreds of years ago up till the...
That's what I'm saying. That wasn't a description of a cherubim. We know what cherubims look like from the Bible. And that was not it, girl.
And I recognized that this was a continual pattern, and it kind of blew my mind at the time. I was like, wow. So I did a little more exploring, and I started to look at primary source material from Catholic experiences, like from saints, like Teresa of Avila, Saint Francis of Assisi. And when I started to read the primary source material, I saw that it was also very similar to what you would see in John Mack's book, because at this point I read John Mack's book, Abduction. And it literally, these experiences of the saints could be other chapters in his book. And so at the time, I knew Jeff Kripal, but he's a professor at Rice University who looks into this type of thing. And I told him, I said, have you seen this? And he at first said, no, Diana, no, I don't think so. And then I took some of the stuff that I had translated and sent it to him and said, they're talking about little beings and aerial phenomena and, you know, other things that happened in John Mack's book. And he was blown away too. And that was the beginning of my writing about UFOs and looking into modern day reports of UFOs. Wow. And honestly didn't think I was going to experience what I did when I went into studying UFOs. I thought it was going to be a natural progression of moving from, you know, using this method that I learned, moving from Catholic history into modern day reports of UFOs. Honestly thought it was going to be pretty easy to do. But when I got into the community of studying UFOs, I immediately saw that there was a lot of government misinformation, truthfully. And I also, you know, met high-level scientists that were studying in these programs. And I didn't actually, they wanted to know what I knew, by the way. They were interested in my field. They thought that they could learn from me. So this is what happened. And this is how I wrote my first book about UFOs and my second book too. So I
bet you what that person saw was more of a demonic entity, not some alien, but something from the unseen world, different dimensions. Yeah, those are all things that are happening that is unexplainable. It's hard to tell. There's no proof for it. But man, why are so many people experiencing these unnatural phenomenons? Anyway, I'd love to know what you guys think in the comments below. Please hit that like button and subscribe. I'm trying to hit 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and I know we can do it with your help. So thank you so much for all the love and support. It means the world. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Have an amazing day, and God bless.